So the Football World Cup happened a while ago. We won. And yes, I'll take the chance right now to call it football because I'll have to use soccer for the rest of the video. Anyways, to celebrate the event, I wanted to talk about a very peculiar Touhou fangame, one that I ignored for the longest time since, well, despite everything, I'm not really that big on sports. So when I found out about it, my initial thoughts were, oh, someone just made a regular football game with Touhou characters, because of course they did. Oh, if only I knew what kind of game this really was back then. Touhou Soccer, or Touhou Soccer, is a fangame developed by Dojin Circle Hachimitsu Kuma-san, released on December 31st, 2006. Well, that's when the Moushuuden expansion was released, which today is the only surviving version of the game, but from what I can gather on Hachikuma's website, the original version came out earlier that year on May 21st. It is heavily inspired by the Captain Tsubasa games for the Famicom and Super Famicom, which I don't really know anything about, but I remember watching the anime when I was a kid, so that's gotta count for something, right? Anyway, so what makes this game so special? Well, even if soccer isn't my thing, it's still something I grew up around and feel some kind of fondness for, so the game already had this zero familiarity for me. But it's also about the over-the-top shonen anime qualities and the completely insane dialogue beats that make it very memorable. Really, just from watching the opening video, I was already hooked and wanted to see more of what this was about. And well, let me remind you that this is a 2006 fangame, so Yuyuko It, Need Kaguya, Alice is like that, 9, Mailing as a Cho character, Is That So, Rinosuke, it's all here folks. As for the game itself, sometimes it feels more like you're actually watching a soccer match instead of playing a video game. And yet despite that, it's surprisingly fun. The matches are really engaging and there's no lack of exciting moments to keep you glued to the screen. You know, the classic how are we gonna get out of this one scenarios that make you think about your next move and leave you wondering what's gonna happen next. The story... Well, what a story.
What a story, Mark.
It follows Reimu as she's visited by a familiar fellow, a San coach, and finds herself forced to assemble a team to compete in various soccer cups and become the super shooting player. And as you know, news spread fast around Gensokyo, so everyone is already in on the fad. Got stadiums and all them. Also Mary is here, seems like she lost track of Renko and is now looking for her. That's it. That's the whole reason she gets dragged into this. Before every match, you can manage your formations and check the stats of both your team and the opponent. You got the usual soccer positions, forward, defender, and midfielder, which by the way, throughout the game it's rated as MF, and listen, I know what it's referring to, I do, but that's motherfucker. That's my pal motherfucker Marisa right there. At the beginning it's only Reimu with a team of ghosts, but as you progress through the game, more and more characters will join your team. Oh, and Mailing. Mailing is the only goalkeeper you have, get used to her. Once everyone's ready to go, we jump right into the game and okay, what is all this? Well, believe it or not, this plays very much like an RPG. You move your players around the field, each one represented by their number, and choose what action they do. Passing and shooting the ball, intercepting and tackling with defending, Dameku. We all know this one, it's a classic move used in soccer all the time. Every player has guts which they need to perform a reaction, from shooting to simply running with the ball. Once it runs out, that's it, you might as well switch that player out, though it does regen a little bit as the match goes on. Except Patchouli. Patchouli never recovers guts, she dies. And by the way, the opponent doesn't have guts, so they will always have access to their best moves. Fun! At least in a moment of mercy, the AI will not always be the brightest, so there's that. Also, Rinosuke is here as the commentator for some reason. I really thought it would be Aya or something, but nope, she's simply here to make things worse for everyone. I have no idea who the referee is supposed to be though, I mean, sure does look familiar, but the bunny ears are throwing me off. Like real soccer, every match is divided into two halves. These are usually 30 minutes each, but some special matches can go on for longer. Every time the clock reaches the last 5 minutes, the music changes to this Pokemon low HP style beat that tells you to haul ass and score the last goal you need already. Kinda loses its effect if you're stomping the other team though. Thing is, the song restarts every time the ball changes team. Every single time. I hope you like that drum beat, you're gonna be hearing it a lot. It gets annoying real fast, and listen, the song is alright, but it's a damn shame that it replaces the other banging tracks from the game. Most of what you'll be hearing are remixes of songs from the Captain Tsubasa games I mentioned earlier, which are actually pretty good, not gonna lie, definitely recommend giving them a listen. Sadly, all the songs are pretty short, like 40-second loops at most. It does help that each team has their own theme when they have the ball, so it tends to change very often, but it can get a little bit grating after a while. Oh, but there are Touhou songs too. Most of the themes from the characters are here, but those are reserved for certain occasions, like special shots. Every character has access to at least one special move, which is stronger, flashier, and sometimes might have additional effects. This can replace any action, passes, tackles, even goalkeepers have special saves, but the star of the show is obviously the special shots. Some of them have neat little sprite animations which, you know, they're nice to look at and give you a good idea of what the shot is like. And then you have the full-blown animations. These are amazing. This is the reason you play this game. I swear it's worth it just to see them in action. They go from yeah sure, just gonna kick the ball in a bit of an over-the-top way, to Yomu flying all the way to the moon, carving the name of the move on it and then cutting it in half. The moon! The fucking moon in half! To... And they all look great. I mean, you can tell they're a little bit crusty, but the fact that this was done by a small team back in 2006 is just amazing to me. One of my favorites is probably the one where Racing and Yomu hit the ball together, with swords, with Racing losing her blazer in the process. And Yoki is there. Remember Yoki? Remember Yoki. Listen, I could spend all day talking about these animations. They spice up the game so much and can make every single match one to remember. You could be having the closest game ever with only a few minutes left on the clock, and then you manage to turn the tables by hitting them with one of these? I can't even begin to describe the rush you get from that. And really, at the end of the day, it is about sending a message. Do I need to use a special shot here? Absolutely not, but what's stopping me from doing so anyways? If I'm gonna get a goal, then might as well take the chance to... Alright, let's talk about this fellow here. The goalpost. The ruiner of dreams, the savior of matches, your angle or your devil. So every time a shot is taken at the goal, if the goalie doesn't get it, there is a chance the ball will hit the goalpost and bounce away. I'm pretty sure the chance is higher if the shot comes from an angle, like from a corner shot, but at the end of the day it's completely random if it happens or not, and I swear it always comes up at the most inopportune of times. Really, I can count the times I took shots right in front of the goalkeeper and still hit the goalpost. It's soul crushing. But hey, at least the other team isn't safe from it either. The goalpost picks no size after all. It's another of this game's many random mechanics, something that can quickly get frustrating if it's not handled right, and well, this game is no exception. Especially since every match can be a bit of a time sink and losing means having to restart it from the beginning. After every match, some of your players might level up and increase their stats, another reason why I compare this to an RPG. Depending on those stats, each character will be better aligned with a certain position. Can they dribble and shoot? That's a forward right there. Are they good at tackling? Prime defender material. Maybe they do a little bit of both and are good at passes? Well, goddamn, you got yourself a midfielder. Taking advantage of these strengths is key to winning matches, especially once the difficulty starts to ramp up. It kinda sucks that you don't get a full team of actual characters for a while, but I find it's a good way to ease the player into the workings of the game instead of piling everything all at once. And boy does this game have a lot of mechanics that I'm not gonna go into. Really, this game comes with a very detailed manual that explains what the hell everything does, which sounds intimidating, but a lot of it is pretty straightforward. Most things are intuitive enough that you'll probably learn them just by playing the game normally. So anyways, that pretty much covers the core gameplay, but hold on, there's 3 different modes to play here. Main scenario, sub-scenario, and travel mode. The main scenario is the main story mode that I described at the start of the video, following Reimu in her shonen adventure to become the super shooting player, complete with rivalries and power-up moments that unlock new abilities. And these are so good, I don't care that the game is essentially taking the piss out of everything, I'm a complete sucker for this kind of stuff. Of course, there's no shortage of ridiculous moments, which is again mostly fandom jokes that can be kinda hit or miss nowadays, but there is the occasional gem here and there, like Remy don't need a parasol because she's using some really good sunscreen. There are 4 cups with a total of 21 matches, and the difficulty curve is a little wacky. You'll get like 3 matches in a row where you can easily win like 8-0, and then the next one will repeatedly kick you in the balls until you're on the ground. Those matches usually showcase the main way this game has to a challenge, which is giving the opponent a really good goalkeeper, the first example being Mima, who has legs in this game. And wouldn't you know, the way to beat her is with aerial shots, because I guess she's not very used to the whole having legs thing yet. At the other end you have your goalkeeper Mailing, who, I'm sorry to say, sucks ass. Oh, she will come in clutch sometimes, but really whenever the opponent has the ball, you better go get it back ASAP, because any shot taken at your goal has a very high chance of going in. Also Booba. Moving on, we have Sub-Scenario, a set of 10 chapters where different characters get the spotlight, and others that didn't fit into the main scenario make their appearance. They're small side stories, only a few matches long, but all of them combined pretty much make for the same length as the main scenario. The thing about these sub-scenarios is that here you can unlock new moves for the characters. Some are pretty straightforward, you'll likely get them just by playing normally, but others require you to do something specific and sometimes counterintuitive, like allowing the opponent to make a move on your goal. This is where you go to the Touhou wiki, which for some reason has a very detailed page on this game, and look up how to do the unlocks because the game does a pretty bad job on giving hints. Once unlocked though, you're free to use them in other modes. Yes, you can even do this before playing the main scenario. Just be warned that you might end up giving the opponent more tools to beat your ass with. My only gripe with this is, again, the difficulty is all over the place, since 1. Some of the matches are a little more gimmicky, especially if you're trying to go for the unlocks, and 2. You're not getting a full team for any of these, forcing you to play with generics that aren't very reliable. But still, it's just a little step up in difficulty compared to the main scenario, and the fun side stories paired with the new moves you get makes it all worth it. Finally, we have Travel Mode. Once again, you can play this at any time, but it's encouraged to do it last so you have all the unlocks and stuff. This is your team builder mode. You pick a captain and 2 other players, give your team a funny name, and you're off. Here's where you realize the sheer amount of characters this game has. Phantasmagoria of Flower View was the last official game released when this came out, so every character from the Windows games until then is here, along with some strays from PC98, like Mima, Shinki, Kotohime, Genji. My main man Genji is out here playing soccer, so that's what he's been up to all these years. By the way, that sprite is amazing. No Fairies of Light though, they did exist before this game. That came as a bit of a surprise for me. Did they forget about them? Were they not suited for the horrors of soccer? I mean Lily, both Lily sure were. Actually, that's a good trade-off, never mind, this is fine. Anyways, Travel Mode. Instead of getting more characters throughout story progression, here you gotta buy them from Accu with the money you get after every match, along with items that they can equip to enhance their strengths or cover their weaknesses. And here's where Tei really shines, because just having her on the field will double the money you get, which has some really good implications. Every 5th match you play against Vivid, from Seiko Project. I can't blame you if you don't know who this is, I guess they were running low on characters at this point. These matches also offer an optional challenge, like scoring a certain amount of goals or winning by a specific goal difference, and its completion determines what route you get. Yes, there are alternate routes in this mode. They all lead to the same place in the end, but you get a different set of matches to get there. It actually gives it quite a bit of replay value. All in all, this is probably my favorite mode the game has to offer because of the customization aspect. Really, when you have so many characters, all you want to do is try them out for yourself, and here's where you can do just that. Assuming Accu has the players who went for sale, and you have the money to buy them. So what else can I say? It's an incredible fangame really. I don't even think a video like this can do it justice, you gotta see it for yourself. I will say that it can get a little bit repetitive after a while, especially since there are a lot of filler matches that aren't challenging at all where I found myself going on autopilot. But again, it's all about those high-intensity, cinematic moments. That's one thing that kept me going through the game and made me want to play more of it. In fact, you can even choose to watch CPUs go at it just to see what sort of mess they can get into. Still, there's a very fun strategy aspect to this game, from how you manage your team every match to what actions you choose on the field. And don't worry, you don't really need to know anything about soccer to enjoy this game. And to finish off this video, I would like to point out that soccer is mentioned in Perfect Memento in strict sense, an official book released just a few months after this fangame. Now, I'm not saying there's any connection, but, you know, non-zero chance. As always, thank you all for watching and see you next stream.